Christner, Chief Digital Officer of Cinity. Very excited to talk about mergers, acquisitions, and divestitures. When I was an executive at Johnson & Johnson, I had the opportunity to participate in many deals at all life cycle stages. J&J is effectively a portfolio company and buys and sells different companies and different divisions all the time. So I had the opportunity to see firsthand, what happens when you take a data-first approach. What happens when you don't take a data-first approach? How do you make sure that the deal value is realized correctly? What kind of problems are there you can have on integration of the acquisitions? What kind of problems do you have carving out complicated assets and getting a good value for them? So, very important point. In anytime there's an economic crisis, there's a huge uptick in merger, acquisition, and divestiture activity. We see that there's a great opportunity. This is going to be a huge wave of mergers, acquisitions, and divestitures, and companies that do all of this well are really going to reap outsized rewards and outsized benefits from that good execution. Mostly when a company buys another company, it's a story about growth. It's a story about margin. The first part of that is a data exercise. Now, what we find is all too often that's kind of driven off of some theoretical framework. And really the right way to do it is to do it in a data-first, data-driven, empirical way where you can look at what the sales synergies and what the growth synergies are up front. And then you can bring that into the acquisition integration and quickly measure the deal value and the sales growth. So let's talk about what we mean by a data-first and data-driven approach. All too often, because these deals are big dollar values, they're exciting, they have a lot of executive involvement, the definition of them is not specific enough to really drive the value and drive the execution. So, my preferred approach, the best practice approach, really is to look at the data at a very granular level, X-ray the data, if you will, and then derive the facts from that. What that allows you to do, whether it's on the buy side or on the sell side, is define asset values correctly, the buy price, the sell price. It allows you, when you get into the integration execution mode, to have absolute clarity on what's going to be required to do the integration, to do the value realization, the people, process, and critically the systems and technology components. And then very importantly as well, make sure that the TSA and TMA commitments are met and that penalties are avoided and that you end up avoiding very expensive cleanup work that is not always necessary to do. I was involved in a very extensive cleanup at one point in my career that involved legal entity restructuring because some of the upfront data work hadn't been done correctly. And it was almost like the company had to do and pay for the acquisition twice. All the while the clock is running, the meter's running on the time to value for the deal, and that degrades over time. Very frequently, there are compliance requirements that are not uncovered because of insufficient attention to looking at the data at a granular level. And that's one of the things that this empirical data-driven approach really excels at finding out and making sure that the compliance execution is also bulletproof. Even with all the benefits of SAP, doing the execution of these deals correctly is very complex. One of the main stumbling points and failure points is not doing data correctly. If I could leave you with one thought, having a data-first mindset, having a data strategy is the critical ingredient in whether your deal is going to do well or not do well. Something that I've had the chance to observe over and over again, and that we really value our ability to help our clients and bring to the marketplace that data first and data strategy methodology to make sure that the deals turn out well. Thank you.